Welcome into a Week 14 Packers offensive breakdown. Packers beat the Bears 28-21. This was an entertaining game overall, a heart stopper for both sides at the end of the game. This Packers offense only had 52 offensive plays, but they still had 337 yards in total. So let's take a look at the film and how they were able to achieve that. First play that we'll look at was one of the better runs by Josh Jacobs. This is just a good job by Love. You can see hands on the helmet. He's changing the side. He's flipping the side of this run, trying to get this Packers offense into an advantageous situation. And then you get a ton of effort from Josh Jacobs. He was great all game. Obviously had a few big runs. This is one of those big three runs. A 10-yard carry here. Just pushing, making sure he's getting as many yards as possible. And that's something that we'll highlight throughout this film is Josh Jacobs did not want to be stopped. He wanted it more than anyone else. And he does a good job here. Good job by the offensive line, getting just enough to allow a seam for Jacobs to fit through. Here we have a 2nd and 10. And this is just going to be a great throw to Musgrave. I think Love misidentified the blitz here, because we're going to get a blitzer coming down here straight through the B gap, and the protection is going to be sliding to the left, right? So that's just going to be a free rusher, and he does a very good job here of just standing in, delivering, and Musgrave coming down with that. He had a pretty decent game overall. Obviously still needs to improve in the run game, but he was targeted quite a bit early on. Had the big catch that was called incomplete. But overall, decent day for Musgrave. And we'll see here that slide from the offensive line. You can see a 4-man slide to the left. You've got a loop call. All right. And then I think you've got this little escort screen, which is going to clear everything out. So you can see the flow of the backers. You got backer. So you've got man coverage with Musgrave, and he's just going to run away from that on a crosser. Love, obviously knowing that weakness, can see that rusher in his face, but he's not afraid, stands in and completes it. So really nice job there by Jordan Love. Next play, we'll focus on the two blockers down here at the bottom, Wiley and Walker. I don't think Walker had the greatest game, but this is just going to be a play that we can see the effort by Josh Jacobs. You can see doesn't really get a good reach step here, but also Wiley kind of gets in the way. So Walker's not able to step all the way through and get to that outside shoulder. Loses that. But Jacobs is going to get just outside enough, uses that little arc, right? That little kind of back step, create some distance, and able to get that first down on a 3rd and 3. And we'll see it from this angle as well. Wiley not doing a very good job. Usually on these outside zones, you're going to take this reach step where you're kind of scooping back. That way you can kind of get on this outside shoulder with your helmet, so you can seal everything off to the inside, right? And that way it gives your running back a lane to the outside. But I don't think Wiley gets far enough outside. He's got that false step at the start and goes for the inside shoulder. So that leaves that outside edge, but Jacobs able to work and still get that first down. And we'll have back-to-back relatively negative plays. Here we've got a sack taken by Jordan Love. You can see the matchup he wants, right? He's got his eyes on Watson, but that safety is lurking. So he's going to pump fake. He's going to pull that trigger because Watson is coming out of the break. But you can see that safety, he's going to be able to break down on that. So Love does not want to throw that ball. But again, if he steps out, he escapes here. Maybe you've got someone in the flat on 2nd down. You've got Dobbs who's locked up. You've got him locked up in the center. So you're basically looking at, either a no gain or a very short gain on this play if he's able to escape. I think he would have been able to if he jumps outside earlier. All right, I think if he's not focused on Watson downfield, he's going to be able to roll out there. And because he does that pump fake, he's not going to have that time to escape, kind of stumbles and then gets caught from behind. So unfortunate there. on that sack, loss of 14 yards. Not really much there. All right, you can see him stumbling. He gets stepped on by Walker, and there's really no way that he's going to escape after that. Next play is a very, very bad play by Jordan Love. It is 3rd and 19. I understand he's trying to push this ball downfield, but it seems like he doesn't really know what the coverage is. I think he sees the middle read defender, but there's no real threat that's going to be underneath. So that's going to allow this hook zone just to drop into that window for the dig. So I think what he's trying to do is get read vertical. He's going to get picked up by that Tampa 2 defender, right? So he's going to be following read, which is going to open up that window underneath. And here, I just don't think he sees it. I think he's playing with anticipation, right? Anticipating, oh shit, I've got the the back of that linebacker, so I'm going to rip it. But you've got another defender there. It's just a traditional Tampa 2. There's no threat underneath. It's 3rd and 19. They're going to play back, and he just throws it right to him. And that's just what you're going to get with Love from time to time. You know, he can make some incredible plays, but for some reason, he's still making some difficult decisions. Just not thoroughly reading the coverage and reacting to what is there. And we'll see it from the back here. You can kind of see Love's vision. He's got the back of this linebacker, so he's just reading him right now and anticipating that dig, thinking he can rip it in. But again, I think he's trying too hard here. It's kind of a duck. Throwing a lot of arm there. So not an accurate ball. And that gets picked off straight to Gardner Johnson. Here we are on a 2nd and 5. We're going to get man coverage up at the top of the screen. You can see the eyes locked in on the hips of the receiver. Man coverage. You got Watson selling vertical. He does a very good job here. Getting vertical and then stemming out on that glance. All right, this is a 5-yard slant essentially. And he is winning out of the break. And just a great job, a great route here by Watson. His route running has been a little bit lazy the last few weeks. He's still been able to perform, but here he was pretty sharp in this game. So nice job there, catching it, getting some rack afterwards as well. All right. Nice clean 3-step drop. Here we go, timing on that glance. Watson able to rip off 19 yards there. LaFleur did much better with his tendencies. Here we've got a 3rd and 2. You've got the jumbo set. Usually what we've like to run out of this is some sort of duo where you're getting some vertical push. Obviously we only need 2 yards. And here they do a very good job. You can see everyone selling out in the box. 24 realizes way too late. All right, because they're down blocking essentially, but Wiley able to sneak out there, make a nice catch. He's got to make sure that he holds on to it. He does kind of fumble there at the end. Obviously, with the ground, he's out of bounds, so thankfully it's nothing. But again, that's a nice 21-yard gain there by this Packers offense. Again, as I said, LaFleur doing a good job, you know, with his tendencies. Still love to run the ball on 3rd and short. And here, going with the play action, Bears completely fooled. And Wiley able to get a nice gain there to keep this drive alive. Here we are, 3rd and 10 in the 2nd quarter. You can see Love communicating with his receivers. All right, we're going to focus on Watson here at first. And we're going to take a look at the pass protection because this is an amazing rep overall. I think a mistake by one of the Bears defenders. You can see nice touchdown there. Obviously, Jordan Love fading away. I'm not sure why he loves to fade away. Could put that more out in front. There's plenty of green grass. Just let him run under it instead of having to make a catch with contact. And still able to get a nice touchdown. But I think that they do a good job identifying this pressure. You can see offensive line all set, ready for this. Even the stunts working inside. Belton and Tom doing a very good job here of working that 2-man game. But I think this is a huge mistake by Jalen Johnson. I think what he's meant to do in this situation, he's locked up with number 81. He's supposed to do what's called green dogging. You can see his guy is staying in to block. And if your man is staying in to block and you've got a blitz on, you want a green dog, so you just overwhelm the pressure. You can see if he's able to go, there's nobody who's going to be able to take him. And he's going to get to Love way before he's able to set. Obviously, if this is a corner running downhill, he's got the speed. There is just a lane right here. If he sends it right away, as soon as he recognizes that his guy is in coverage, that's a sack, right? But since he doesn't blitz, gives Love just enough time, float it up there. Watson able to get it, and we'll watch it from the end zone angle as well. It's a really nice job by the O-line, number 98 falling over. All right, gets stepped on by 35, so that helps the offensive line a little bit. But more so, a good job by Tom and Belton. And the Packers get on the board. Here we are. Another big play for the Packers, 2nd and 10. This time going to Melton, but again, I think we got another issue with Jalen Johnson here. He's obviously recently come back from injury. He was out at the beginning of the year. Packers offensive line, they do a good job here on this sim pressure. All right, so they're simulating pressure. Everyone drops out. They only bring 4. They drop the defensive end. All right. There's really no one that's in the area for Johnson. He sees this crosser. But realistically, this is a Tampa 2 coverage, which they talked about on the broadcast. He's got to get back and play that deep half, right? So if this crosser gets across, then he's got to get there. But here he's obviously seeing Reed, and Reed does a good job here of just running straight at Johnson, right? Knowing that he's got a teammate. That's just great understanding by Reed, and it's great having him back. But he's able to attach basically to Johnson, which is going to prevent him from getting that depth in order to make a play. Floats it up there, running backwards. Melton with a big play here. So again, we'll see that sim pressure. The Packers handle those stunts just fine. Obviously, Ryan gets bowled a little bit, but he stands his ground just enough. And there's Love. Slight fadeaway. Very close to being intercepted. Again, I wish Love would just put that, over the top. Let him run into the end zone. You got 10 yards in the end zone. So, it still ends up being a big play. Melton stepping up with the, injuries to Wicks. Obviously, Golden on a snap count. So this was a pretty good performance for Melton overall. And we'll focus on Melton again for one more play. And this is, definitely frowned upon to have a pass interference call, but here it is. On a 3rd and 11, that ball is very clearly going to be intercepted. So he does the very smart thing of just pulling him down, right? You're going to end up punting that ball anyways. Either they accept the penalty, you get the ball to attempt another 3rd down, or they decline that penalty and you punt it away. So really, that is better than giving up an interception. But of course, they end up getting the ball around the same spot of where that interception would have taken place because of, some punt issues. But in the grand scheme of things, I would much rather have an offensive pass interference there than an interception, just for the momentum side of things. And we got Jaden Reed, who is back up at the top. They ran this play earlier in the game. Here they run it again, this time on a 1st down. Gets a significant chunk of yardage. Happy that he's back. Obviously talked about his route earlier, attaching himself to Johnson. Here you get Musgrave leading out. They came out with a different personnel group leading. Last time they had Fitzpatrick and Watson doing those blocks. This time they have Dobbs and Musgrave, and it ends up working out much better. But still to that field side, and Jaden Reed able to pick up 15 yards. Here we've got another great play by Jordan Love. Obviously recognizing, hey, we got one guy deep here. We got pressure that's on. We got man coverage across the board. All right, let's get a quick audible. So you're going to get this little flat at the line of scrimmage and a one step now. And you've got so much space. So Love just drops it in there perfectly. You can see the pressure. Everyone up front here, outside of the people that are lined up, he's actually going to do his job. He sees that his tight end is going to block down, so he's going to blitz, just like I talked about earlier, green dogging. And you can see that's just going to leave that middle of the field open with everyone sending to the quarterback, and he's just going to be gone. All right, he's got that speed. There's no way that anyone's going to catch up to him. And I am so happy that Watson is back. But again, up front, you've got this RPO, right? Originally a run call. Luckily, no one gets further than a yard downfield on that quick fire slant. And Watson is off to the races for his second touchdown of the game. Here we are with the final drive of the game for this Packers offense outside of the kneel downs. And you've got Jacobs just wanting it more. Here you get a nice gap scheme. You got the GH, the GF counter. You're going to have a pulling tight end, a pulling guard to kick out here. Just slow it down. You can see the action. Good double team to that next backer. Banks does a good job here of hitting that spill. And then just the vision of Jacobs able to get in between, get upfield, because you can see number 9. Usually what you want to do on a counter, if they spill inside, you're going to pin this next guy and you're going to bounce this outside. So he's anticipating, hey, he's going to bounce this outside, but Jacobs sets this up well, takes that step in the dirt, gets vertical, and then just keeps those legs moving, gets a gain of 11 here. So really nice job by Jacobs. He really just wanted it more this last drive, and we'll see that with another one of his runs later. Here we've got Jaden Reed. This is just going to be a simple crosser. All right, he's just going to do a very good job of stemming his route. All right, talked about this on the broadcast, but you get the play action. Jacobs able to get there in pass protection. And again, look at the pocket. Plenty of space for Love. You can see the separation that's being created there by Reed. A really nice job completing that pass. But this is just textbook route running. You want to go here, stem a little bit vertical before you break off across the field, because that corner then has to respect you going vertical, so you can see how quickly he just adjusts his shoulders going from that step crossing the field, and that's going to create just enough separation. Luckily, Watson doesn't try to jump for that ball, and that is a big completion for 18 yards. We'll take a look from the end zone angle as well, because that was beautiful pass protection on this play action. Get some pressure, get a blitzing linebacker. Banks is able to pick it up. Maybe a little bit of a hold on the right side. All right, gets up a little bit high. But, obviously we'll see in the defensive film. Micah Parsons got away with, being held a few times, no penalties. So at least it was fair both ways. I've got 2 more plays, both of them going to be about Josh Jacobs. He is the main reason the Packers are able to win this game. I did the calculations. His average with all of his runs, he had 86 yards, 1 touchdown. I think it was 20 carries. It was about 4.3 yards per carry. But if you take away his 3 biggest runs, including this one, it ended up being a 2.5 yards per carry. So there was really nothing in the ground game, which is why there's not a lot of, 1 yard, 2 yard runs in this film breakdown, because the Bears defense was pretty aggressive, and they were able to stop a lot of those interior runs. And that's also part of the reason why this Packers offense only gets 52 plays, because all those inside runs are killing that clock. But here we get Jacobs outside, that cut up field, and able to get skinny and then pushing Byard all the way down inside the 10. That is a huge run. We'll just see here. You get this pin pull. Just leaving that end. Trying to get to the next, the backer. And he actually plays that pretty well. It's just Jacobs is able to stop, cut up field. Luckily, he doesn't slip. You can see that good contact balance. Right, able to take a couple hits, but stay up on his feet. Wish Watson would have had a better block here. Right, here he's just trying to push him out of the way, but he pushes him towards Jacobs. So, minor critique, but, you know, ends up being an explosive run. It allows the Packers to chew a little bit more clock before giving the ball back to the Bears. And then simply, Josh Jacobs again. Love the duo concept here. And this is something that was successful pretty much most of the game. Right? If you're only going to have a 4 down front, you're going to be able to get a couple double teams up front and then work to the backers. And all you need is that little lane up the middle in order to score a touchdown. And that's what you get here. A little bit of a lane, turning those legs, able to get into the end zone. It's a little bit more beautiful from the end zone angle. We just get a couple double teams up front. Double team here, double team here. You work up to those backers. And of course, you're going to have a free man who's going to come in. Jacobs is able to recognize that, knows that he just has to put his head down into the backs, drive those legs, and he's able to make it in. Put the Packers up 28-21. And that's going to do it for the offensive breakdown. Obviously, Packers had a good day offensively in general. Jordan Love had the bad interception, but that happens from time to time. He played well again overall. Able to get another win, another division win against the Bears. O-line was pretty great in pass protection, but still a lot to be desired in the run game. A lot of the yardage that came was from Jacobs and his effort, not from the push of the offensive line. And obviously talked about, you know, Melton, Watson both stepping up. Watson continuing his number one receiver streak. And obviously with Golden and Wicks shaken up a bit, Melton stepped up in their place with that huge 45-yard touchdown. So a great game from the Packers. Able to get another win, one step closer to a division title. But obviously got a big matchup next week against Denver. Hopefully they're able to win against a top AFC team just to see what is potentially a contender in those AFC playoffs for a Super Bowl run. So thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.